recommend blowing up stock accounts, everything, balance and diversification. The challenge with real estate is it doesn't generate chunk cash easily. Need to get a car, need to, my mother's, let's see, this last week, a leaking skylight in the house, just had a bunch of siding replaced. They built the house 35 years ago. It's getting a little bit long in the tooth. So mom's going to be dropping 60 grand in the house over the next 12 months. That doesn't come from real estate unless you're selling a piece of property. So that's where you have the equities and whatnot to balance that out. And okay, doing good time-wise, yay. How do we do this? So kind of getting back into my world is, financing. I'm always pushing and trying to get people into the best financing they can get. Many people in my marketplace are going to go, oh, here's the easy loans, let's do it, this is easy. No disrespect on naming your company, Amanda. Easy means you're going to pay more. Always has. Be careful of us salespeople. I'm still in sales. I'm not going to deny it. I'm just going to turn around and try to be politically correct when I make my competitors look like vampires. Many of us were around in the go-go years, pre-Great Financial Conundrum. No down. There's never been anything wrong with no down. Veterans Administration's been doing that for, Rich, how long has the VA been around?
Since early 1940s.
40s,
Sure,
yeah, so we're talking 80 years. The Veterans Administration's been doing no money down loans. They're still in business. FHA, we've got down payment assistance all over the place. FHA loans have been around since God created banks. Nothing wrong with no down. We turned around and added negative amortizing loans to it, which means, your payment is $2,000 a month, and we're just going to add $500 every month onto how much you owe. So you take a zero down loan, and then you turn around and have it get bigger every year. Do you see where there might be a bit of a challenge to somebody if things don't work according to plan? But still, negative amortizing loan is one of the most powerful loans we ever had. But we combined zero down with negative amortizing and then said, oh, you just plug a number in for how much money you make. I saw applications where postal carriers were claiming the Postal Service was paying them $18,000 a month so that they could qualify. The banks really hosed the country. Unfortunately, us mortgage brokers got slapped for we blew up the marketplace. We didn't fund the loans. I actually didn't do very many of them. I've always done some of the negative amortizing loans when we had them because it worked. In the early 90s, World Savings, for those who remember those wonderful folks, had a negative amortization loan. It had lower default ratios than the Veterans Administration loans. But kind of funny. You had to put 30% down payment. Oh, and you had to be self-employed. Hasn't that always been the challenge we see in the marketplace? You got W-2 and you got self-employed. We write everything off. It doesn't look like we make any money. So the banks wouldn't loan us anything. So that World Savings NAGAM loan balanced the field for our self-employed folks, and you put 30% down. How many folks are going to walk from the house? Not many. So we have that. So we're back to directly stated income loans. We're back to no tax return loans. But they're not no money down. You gotta have skin in the game. What do you need? What do you have to work with? I jokingly call Rick a competitor of mine. He and I are never going to be talking to the same customer in this state. So he and I might be competitors. I go, no, we cooperate. We share stories, we share ideas, because we're still trying to stitch together how to get people from point A to point B. And it's the community that does it. On commercial loans, I'm a member of a group, there's 20 of us. 3/4 are pure commercial brokers. The other 25%, like me, do residential and commercial. We have an approved lender list. The only way you get on that list is one of us had to have funded a loan with XYZ and then been happy enough to introduce them to the group. So we have contacts at banks that have been vetted, and we have a power of a group that funds, pick a number, $20 to $100 million every single month. So I, as a solo practitioner, when I call Joe at XYZ Bank, I've got these other 19 huckleberries behind me, and he doesn't want to screw up. And we have monthly phone calls. Who's doing good and who's not? And we remove people from the list. That's horsepower. That's community. We do this for our clients. So, probably the best thing, and Rick, I know it's probably the same thing with you. We don't do loans, we do conversations. My favorite one is, hi Mike, I'm not sure you can do this. Cool, let's have a conversation. Let's bring our brains to work and figure it out. Sometimes we can't. What's plan B? What's plan C? It's all about moving forward. That's the power of the community. That's the power of, Santa Barbara RIA, OC RIA, Realty 411, these groups. Yeah, there's a lot of hacks that run through them because people are selling because they don't have any food on their table. No disrespect. We're all people, we're all somewhere on our journey. But these groups are places where you're going to see consistency. How long have you been involved with Linda, Rick?
I've known Linda probably at least 25 years.
25 years. I met Linda through the San Jose area 20 some odd years ago. Why am I here? The relationship with Linda. I could travel just about anywhere around the country if I chose to. I'm out of San Francisco Bay Area, so California's hometown for me, so it's fun to play here. But the real estate doesn't matter what the zip code is. Our loans don't give a hoot nanny what the zip code is. What's the numbers? What are you trying to do? How can we help get you there? How many of you consider yourselves eligible to teach rehab renovation? I know Rick can from talking to all of his clients, not counting what he may have personally done. Amanda, you're in the hard money business. You have heard more stories about how things go, how things don't go, than probably Rick and I have together, just because that's the vertical you're in, is funding rehabbers. Draw upon our expertise. It's all here. We're not attorneys. We're not charging you by the hour. Use our expertise. When something starts going wrong, pick up the helpline. Sometimes all we can do is give you a hug. I can't fix the fact that my friend in Pacific Grove got jammed up by the planning department 3 times. that's life in the fast lane. We're now working, going in and, hopefully number 4 will get signed off, because working with the head of the planning department now only. So hopefully we'll have permits in a couple of weeks. Stuff happens. But have those helplines. You learn. We learn. That's how we have all of our experiences. Let's see. And yes, I'm notorious for not following my notes. So, for me, I started doing construction when I was 9 years old. Yeah, literally. My dad was a college prof. We added 800 square feet onto our house. And as a college prof, my mom didn't work. Back in the day, we had enough money for materials or labor. And I'm the oldest of 3. Hand digging foundations, mixing all the concrete with a mixer. Actually, still on the mixer part next to my house. We did the wiring, we did the roofing, we did the plumbing, we replumbed, rewired the entire house, set it up for a generator. Where we were at, we averaged 6 weeks every year with no power. PG&E is a dirty 4-letter word in my family. And we had a travel trailer, so when the power was out for weeks at a time, Mom cooked meals out in the trailer, and we still had generator running for the refrigerator and freezer, and just put on sweatshirts. Renovation management. I regularly recommend people use a third party. It costs you a few bucks. It costs a couple of $1,000. It's a filter between you and your workers. Because I guarantee it will happen. Friday paycheck. Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah, we're going to be in tomorrow. We're going to get this caught up, but I need to get paid for tomorrow's work today. God, what was Blimpie's line? Can I borrow a nickel from you today to get a hamburger? I'll pay you back next week. Something else. Haven't seen those cartoons in too many years. It's going to happen, and then the work's not going to get done right. That's the biggest problem. Are you a general contractor? Do you know when things have been put together correctly? That's why we hire a third-party inspector. They come in and go, okay, I'm 60% done with the rough-end plumbing. Inspector's going to come around, $100, $200 for an inspection. It's nothing. Chump change, rounding error, tip money. But they're going to turn around and go, these guys only got 40% done. Go back to the contractor going, I got a problem, dude. You better step up your game. We can drive around our own neighborhoods. People are doing construction. Who's getting it done in a few months? I got a house going up around the corner from my place. They've been building the house for 14 months. They've got the paper on the roof. They still haven't roofed it. And around the corner, Pulte is building, let's see, they're on their 3rd building. The 1st building is done. The 2nd building, they just finished the envelope and they're working inside, and the 3rd building is framed ready for the roof. They've been on that project 5 months. People are afraid to lean on their contractors. Use good contracts. Performance contracts. As soon as you say the word performance contract, I suspect 70% of your contractors will walk away. What's that tell you? What's it tell you? It's your money. Time. It's your money. No matter what that property is costing you per day. So that's my number 1 trick for dealing with contractors. And trust me, I've done work, construction work without contracts, so I know the other side. But I have the construction background. I can turn around and look at my guys and know if they're trying to blow smoke at my skirts or not. Do you? Yay, turn. Property management, we chuckled about this earlier. My accountant, God rest his soul, had 150 houses in Dallas, Fort Worth area. I think you knew him, Rick. Dick Smith?
Sounds
Heard of him. Yeah, Linda knew him from San Jose. When I first met him 20 years ago, his rent roll was a piece of paper he carried in his wallet. Wrote down the property, how much the rent was, and just checked if he received the rents. And he did that every month, 150 houses. Had 3 property managers. Rarely did a tax season come up that he didn't have the same 3. Property managers are like doctors, they're like auto mechanics, they're like our attorneys. Your job is to manage them. They are your employee. They will push back because if they own a company, they're going to be, kind of like myself, a little bit strong-willed, maybe a little bit opinionated. And they're going to push back and inform you that you do not run their business. Spoiler alert. Hell yeah, you do. They are your employee. You just don't have to pay them a W-2. Now, they're people too. Don't be a jackass. Treat them with respect. But also expect some respect in return. I've got cities I don't recommend people go invest in. And I'll name it, Memphis. I have property in Memphis. I went with the top rehab property management company in Memphis. And they jacked me 7 ways from Sunday. Little crappy $40,000 house, fixing up to where somebody can move in. Okay, you got to do, here's the laundry list of work that you got to do. $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000, no problem, go do it. People leave 8 months later. Okay, we got to do a little, make ready. They give me a laundry list. Half of the crap on that list was the same that I paid for the last time around, and when I brought that to their attention, they got pissed off at me. How dare you? We're the expert. I won't go to Memphis. I won't put up with that kind of treatment. A lot of property managers will do it, manage it. How many of you all with property management might consider when you get your list and, the plumber had to go out for a leaky sink. We get that nickel and dime stuff all the time. But how many of you all have ever called the tenant and go, I'm kind of curious. You've called the tenant.
In Memphis, Tennessee.
In Memphis.
How do you like that new washing machine? And they said, they don't have a new one. I called property manager and they said, you're not supposed to be talking to them. Oh, really?
Yes, what he was saying, so that we have it on the recording here, he had or has property in Memphis, paid for a new washing machine to go into the unit. He called the tenant to ask him, how do you like that new washing machine? The tenant says, what new washing machine? There's no new washing machine. So, as a business owner, he turned around and called his employee, the property manager, and said a version of WTF. And the property manager got up in his business and said, you're not supposed to call the tenant. I will challenge anybody that has property management agreement. read the fine print and show me where in that agreement it says you, the property owner, are not allowed to call the tenant. It ain't gonna be there. These are the tips and tricks. I'm a lending guy. Why do people come to me? Because of the extra conversation, to try to help find what they don't know. And again, that's a two-way conversation. All the education I've done, all the seminars I've been to and everything else, half of what I know today has come from you all. I can't grow and do better tomorrow without our conversations, without having more anecdotal stories that I can take and share, because it's not just my stories. When I turn around and start saying, oh yeah, my buddy Rick had such and such happen to him, it resonates differently than my saying. And we get there, you know. Like I said, you know, and I apologize, you know, a lot of times, you know, I could sound like the bad news bearer, devil's advocate. Problem is my makeup, I don't worry about what's going good. Maybe I should spend a little bit more time here myself, but I don't, you know. What challenge do we have to overcome? How can we overcome it quicker, sooner, faster, better? What can we learn from this lesson? So for that, I apologize. My clients, you know, the incredible successes out there. Some of it dealing with market timing. Some of the market timing is easy for some of us. You know, I'll probably, you know, many of you receive or will be receiving my couple of times a month. I send out an e-zine. You know, I write for Linda. You know, to where I position myself as a backseat economist. That's my interest. That's where I joke. You know, I laugh at AI. You know, let's see. Since 2019. Wall Street has predicted with over 85% certainty that we're going to enter a recession 3 different times. And they're claiming that, you know, COVID was one of them. Bullshit. Sorry, we're recording. Baloney. COVID was the black swan. Nobody could predict that. They were talking economics. They were talking the White House going from blue to red. We were going into a recession. Coming out of COVID, oh, everything is so bad, supply chain, blah, 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 blah. We were going into recession. Oh, we went from blue to red again in DC, like it frickin' matters. All noise. Government shutdown. Who gives a rip? Some people weren't working. Some people didn't get a paycheck. I'm sorry. Life happens. I got people that are not working right now because they're battling cancer. People, life happens. Get off the headlines. What's your money doing? Your money has a job. Got clients of mine are now looking at another fourplex. Met them in '97. They were renting in San Francisco, had 5 kids, and they proceeded in 2.5 years, 3 years. A fourplex, a triplex, 2 duplexes, and a personal residence that they bought in San Francisco. And the funny part, Rick, you're going to love this one. They never paid less than 3 points on a loan. Because they were buying that damn interest rate down. 5 kids, they're both working. They got other things to do in life than wonder what the heck the interest rates are going to do tomorrow. If they go down, we know what to do. But they're looking at it going, there's no guarantee the rates are going to go down. So they paid their 3 points. They made their, it lowered the rate enough, it took 4 years to recoup that money. And we didn't refinance them for 10 years. They made a boatload of money off of that because that 3 points came back to them every 4 years. So they made an extra 6-8% on their properties. We refinanced them in 2015. Again, paying over 3 points. But at that time, they weren't taking extra cash out. They were doing fine. Threw them on 15-year mortgages and the payment still dropped. So here in, let's see, I think the youngest graduate is about ready to graduate college. They're still working. They ain't that old, they ain't as old as me. And here in 5 years, they're gonna have 4-plex, triplex, and 2 duplexes in San Francisco paid off. It works. People just getting into a house. How many of our folks, just being able to buy a house? That's the stuff that we do. And I actually have exactly 1 minute and 4 seconds left. How about that? I hit the last slide. Pretty scary. But this is what I do. I'm Michael Ryan. I'm broker owner of Michael Ryan and Associates. And the key piece is my associates, because that's what brings everything to the table. I'm the strategist behind the company, figuring out how best to move you forward. For those of you that are here, I'll be here the rest of the day. For those online, pick up the phone, drop an email. Those are the 2 best ways to get a hold of me. But thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful information. We've got a little break for 15 minutes, 10:30. We'll be back at 10:45. So now's a chance to make a great escape and come back. But don't get lost.